Hello, everyone, and welcome to Saberminded Baseball Podcast Episode 7, presented by The Dugout. I'm Dawson Wright here, joined by Noah Wright, as always. And Noah, it's been a pretty interesting week in the...
There's been a lot of stuff happening within the last 7 days.
Yeah, we've had a few contract extensions, which we're going to talk about. We had a few free agent signings, some minor, some major. Today, I would consider a pretty big signing for the Brewers. We had the Brewers signing Mike Moustakas. It is a 1 year, $9 million deal, and I still feel really bad for Mike Moustakas, how he can't get a multi-year contract anywhere.
Does this one even come with like a team option, like like $15 million team option or something like that?
Yeah.
For 2019.
Yeah. Nope. It's just, I mean, I don't know how we didn't get a multi-million dollar deal last year, like especially with what like Hosmer got. I don't understand.
Yeah, like Hosmer got that, and if you ask me, I would rather have Moustakas over Hosmer.
Yeah, same here. But this is interesting for the Brewers because it moves Travis Shaw back to second base. Which, which is pretty interesting. Speaking that he's only played second base last year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Shaw wasn't that
great, but he wasn't like, I'm butchering every play over here.
Yeah, he wasn't terrible. So, I mean, the real question is, does Mike Moustakas, does his offensive production outweigh Shaw's defense at second base?
As it stands right now, if we're saying that Shaw performs about the same as he did late last year when they got Moustakas, I think it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be evening out too well. I think his defense will be worse than Moustakas' offense will be, if that makes sense. Not by a lot, but I think it just will be by a little.
Yeah. So do you think that, earlier in the offseason, they should have just maybe added a middle infielder instead?
I mean, they could have still. Jose Iglesias was still on the market. They could have just signed to move him to shortstop or put at second base because they have some young guys in the minors who are pretty highly touted.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go after Brian Dozier a little earlier.
I thought that they might try and look at Marwin Gonzalez. I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense that you bring in Gonzalez on like a cheap 2 year deal, because I feel like he would have made more than what Moustakas got for this year. You bring him in on like a 2 year deal for $10 million a season. Mm-hmm. When the young guys are ready, Marwin can kind of play wherever you put him. So to me, that made more sense than Moustakas.
The one thing with Marwin is I don't know if he'd really outweigh the production of Moustakas next season. But the thing that everyone talks about is his versatility. I could see him getting more per year than Moustakas gets. I mean, as we creep closer to the season, it just seems like the salaries keep falling for a lot of these guys that aren't, Harper or Machado, Keuchel, right? I still see probably Gonzalez getting more just because of what
versatility reasons.
Yeah, because he could really, a dude that could play shortstop and first base,
the outfield,
and wherever you really want to stick him besides pitcher or catcher is really rare, and
pretty valuable.
Yeah, and him not sucking at those positions is pretty good. He doesn't have a negative D-WAR. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. He's just a pretty big. He's not a big name, but he's a big acquisition for a team looking for...
Yeah, because it definitely gives the team a lot of flexibility with their roster and lineup.
Yeah. It really would depend on the team, though. Like, at certain places, he wouldn't necessarily fit. Teams that are, like, completely loaded at most positions where they have something set, because then you have them riding the bench. But teams, like, I don't know, maybe, like... We'll use the Giants as an example because it's easy. That have a lot of outfield spots open. Panic is still in question. Who knows if Longoria or Sandoval are going to be healthy all season, right? There's a lot of questions. So
or how they'll perform.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like he'd fit with a team like that better. I mean, I thought he was gonna fit with the Brewers pretty well, but it's clear that they're probably just gonna rock with Moustakas and Shaw. So
yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
yeah, we'll see. But another thing that happened over this past week, which was really interesting, was a lot of contract extensions. Which
and a lot of them were like really good players that are like young and upcoming.
They're just taking the it's not really the easy route, but it's sort of the security as soon as they can get it, because this market has been so interesting. There's a reason they didn't sign it earlier in the offseason. There's a reason they're signing them like now. It's because they've seen what happened to other players.
Severino could have signed it back after 2017 after his Cy Young year, but I mean, now we're seeing how they're probably seeing how these free agent markets are playing out, and I understand why they'd be doing it. If you're looking at the market right now and you're seeing like guys like Machado and Harper are still sitting there, I mean, it's kind of understandable.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. The guys we saw that extended this week were Nola, Severino, and the Twins extended Mats Kepler and Jorge Polanco. Both of those were 5-year extensions. Kepler was 5 years, 35. Polanco, 5 years, 25. Severino, 4 years for 40. Nola, 4 years for 45. So
yeah, I think we've kind of seen this throughout the winter, too, when Carlos Carrasco and Whit Merrifield signed extensions with the Indians and Royals.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like it's it's not even like a bad deal for the teams. If anything, these are pretty...
Yeah, these are really team-friendly.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's just there's so many question marks in the air with free agency right now. You can't blame them for... taking this route. I mean, how this impacts future free agency, teams might be more willing to stay with the teams that they were drafted by, or that or they got traded to, or whatever, the teams that they're with before they hit their free agency years. Especially like young players who, because it seems like, I mean, we'll have to see what happens next offseason. Next offseason can be amazing, but then who knows, the one after that could be just like the one we have now.
We've had the last 2 years.
And if the offseason becomes sort of this, wild card, where no one really knows what's going to happen, players are going to be scared to go out in free agency. Now, the only thing that would keep them, from not signing an extension is either A, they want to go play somewhere else, or B, these are kind of connected. Their team just sucks, and they're like, they're like Manny Machado on the Orioles.
We don't want to be.
Right?
We don't want to be here.
Yeah, like we don't want to be here. We want to go to somewhere that actually knows how to win and put a franchise together.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to just see how next offseason goes.
Now, I think next offseason is going to be a pretty big turning point, because if you look at all the talent that is going to be on the market, it's one of the deepest offseasons. It's going to be one of, if not the deepest free agent market we've seen in a long time. Like, even compared to this year, it's going to look very good.
Yeah, I'm just going to be concerned we're going to see guys like just recently we had Cameron Maybin signed a minor league deal with the Giants, where it's just these guys that are, that have been major league level and have shown they could be on the major league level, just not getting a lot of calls really at all, almost. And then they just have to end up signing a minor league deal or like a 1-year deal, like a Mike Moustakas sort of thing.
Yeah, watching Moustakas has kind of been painful, because it's just like, he's like a pretty decent MLB player, but he's just not getting it. He's just not getting the multi-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken him over Hosmer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would have too. I think he's a better player. I think he's just better and more consistent than Hosmer is.
Yeah. I don't really understand that one, but yeah, Nets off season will probably be the key to it, really. But
yeah, because you have guys like right now as it is Goldschmidt, Arenado, just to name two.
Yeah,
and Madison Bumgarner's going to be on the free agent market, but he's not even going to be the best pitcher
unless he signs an extension. Who knows? But we are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we are going to be discussing the Chicago Cubs, who have been projected to finish in last place in the NL Central.
Yeah, I love her off. Said she love me, but she cut me off. Yeah, late nights on the boulevard, hidden stains on an empty heart, yeah. I love her off. Said she love me, but she cut me off.
All right, everyone, we are back, and before we talk about the Cubs, really quick, I wanted to bring up something. Today there was news that came out that Manfred was going to institute pitch clocks in spring training. It's unlikely that we're going to see them in the regular season this year, but they're going to be there in spring training because screw everybody. All right, but Eric O'Flaherty, he tweeted out, he said, "Funny, we need a pitch clock, but if you warm up too fast between innings, you will have the umpire pointing at his wrist and signaling for you to slow down because the commercials aren't over yet." So
that's pretty ironic.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah,
I mean,
we could
pitch clocks in spring training. It's like,
yeah,
it's whatever because
no, well,
games don't really
it's
matter.
okay. Yeah, we could speed up the game as long as it doesn't influence the commercial time. Okay, but let's talk about the Cubs a little bit. The Cubs they were projected to finish 80-82 by Baseball Prospectus, which should leave them
that's pretty interesting.
last in the NL Central, which.
Over the Pirates.
Yeah, the Pirates and the Reds were above them, which I don't really agree with at all. But, I mean, hey.
I don't either, but, whatever.
It's their projections, and to be honest with you,
listen,
with this...
I don't agree with it either, but I don't care.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, this Cubs team, there is a lot of questions. And by a lot, I mean almost at every single position.
Except first base.
Yeah. Basically, except for Anthony Rizzo, this team has a lot of questions. Even Javier Baez, who we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Where should we start off? Should we start off with Contreras?
Sure.
Okay, so Wilson Contreras, he had a great year last year. But if you look at it, his second half numbers were really just abysmal. He is a great... He is a great catcher from a fielding perspective. He has a cannon. He's good. But he hit 279 before the All-Star break.
That's pretty good.
Post All-Star break, he hit... What
was his OPS before the All-Star break?
I can't check it right now. But he had 82 hits in 294 at-bats.
Pre-All-Star break, 818 OPS.
Yeah.
And second half OPS, it fell off a cliff to 8.50, 585.
Woo! And also, first half, 7 home runs. Second half, 3. Second half average, 200. I mean...
That's not good for a... I mean, he's still young. He'll only be 27 next year, but, I mean, that's a pretty big drop-off from what he was the 2 years before this year.
It's really kind of a shame. I mean, his OPS took a, massive dip. ISO went from 170 to .94. BABIP went completely down, almost by 100 points. WOBA down, WRC plus down. Everything went down on the batting side. He just wasn't really able to figure it out. I mean, I can't really find a direct cause for this. His strikeout...
I don't think he was really injured.
Yeah, strikeout percentage went up 1%. A little... wait, no, it didn't go up 1%. It went up 4%. His walk rate barely went down. I just don't know if he's, a guy that we can expect to produce the level he was producing.
I think next year we're gonna get kind of a mean in between 2017, 2018. I think next year is just gonna be like a mean in between that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his steamer projections, it shows him slugging 427 with a WOBA of .333, and a lot of other projections like ATC, depth charts, the bat show pretty
767 OPS, which that's okay for a catcher.
They also pretty similar things. Strikeout rate around 22%, which is usually around what he's hovered in years prior. His average in 2018 took a bit of a dip compared to 2017, especially considering he had more at bats in 2018 than he did in 2017. 17 he hit 21 homers. 18 he hit 10 with only 3 in the second half. So yeah, loss of power, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be their starting catcher for...
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Can you count on him to produce, really?
I mean, it's not like he faced a big injury, but I won't be like in panic mode if I were the Cubs right now. I won't be like, oh my god, we gotta find some replacement now. Like,
no.
He's still young. Yeah. I would still give him a chance to bounce back, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Because his first half, he was pretty solid.
Yeah,
so.
he was decent in the first half.
All right, but here's a follow-up question for you. Can you rely on anyone on this team besides Anthony Rizzo, really?
I mean,
to produce at a consistent
Rizzo's
level?
Rizzo's been the only one who's had at least 3 years in a row where he did good.
Yeah, and I know...
From 2016 to 2018.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people right now are screaming at us for not talking about Javier Baez yet. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about Javier Baez because...
Yeah, I mean, Baez, he did really good this year. But that was this year. And the 2 years prior, he did okay, but not super, super great. But, I mean, what's worrisome about Baez is the fact that he strikes out 25% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He had a .326 on-base percentage last year, which is not good. The moment pitchers start figuring out Baez, it's not going to be pretty for him.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Unless he makes adjustments.
We could say that with really any hitter, but it's truly alarming with Baez because he's more of a all or nothing.
Yeah.
Sort of swing player. Like in 2016, didn't really have the best...
737 OPS. He did have some home. He did show some power and speed, but
Yeah. His defensive WAR was actually worse. It was actually at a career worse. Well, besides 2015, but in 2015 he only played 28 games. But it was basically the worst. He's
on Baseball Reference. It says he has a 2 defensive WAR. But
yeah, I'm looking at Fangraphs. He had a 7.4, 4.5, and then a 3.6 last year in 2018. Which that's, I mean, he was more versatile last year. I think if he plays purely second base, he's going to be better.
Yeah.
My biggest concern with him is the strikeouts. It's always been high, really. I mean, the only year he hasn't had it above 20 is going all the way back to rookie ball. It was 16.7 still.
And that was at 3 games.
Yeah, in 2011. And it was still 16.7%. But, I mean, 2014 when he was with the Cubs, it was 41.5% in 229 plate appearances. And, I mean, you saw he really struggled last year. I'm just concerned that he could have a similar season like that. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he does good.
Yeah.
We never want players to do bad on purpose, really.
Yeah.
But
it's just looking like there's some red flags going up with Baez.
Yeah. There's some projections that have him hitting right back at 270 last year where he was. Others lower than that. Home runs, we're looking at around 30-ish still. He's still going to have a lot of power. Strikeout percentage, some people have it going up. It's really gone up and down, but only by few percentage points. He's still hovering over the 25% mark.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like players that strike out 25% of the time.
Yeah, that's not good. Mm-hmm. There's a 1 in 4 chance. You're stepping up to the plate with a 1 in 4 chance of striking out.
Yeah, and let's just quickly go through the rest of the roster as we can. First base, Rizzo. He's great. He's been probably the most consistent person on this team since a while.
Yeah.
Zobrist, he's all right.
He's getting older though, and he didn't look so great in 2017. He had a 693 OPS. I mean, he did pretty good this year, but he's going to be 38 next year, so
yeah.
Warning sign.
Bryant coming back from a few injuries. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to sort of get back to where he once was during that MVP season. I mean, it's tough when you're not on the field every day, right? But
yeah.
He's just got to stay healthy.
If he stays healthy, he can be a good player, but we'll just see how that plays out.
Schwarber can have a monster year, but he's just he's kind of in the same boat as Baez, to be honest with you.
With a lot of strikeouts, but not as just
all or nothing, a lot of power.
I mean, he did raise his on-base percentage to 356 last year, which is pretty good, but I mean, you'll just have to see how it plays out with, it could go back down to 315 like it was in 2017. So
yeah, and then we have the other two outfielders. We have Almora, who he's all right at hitting.
He's a pretty good defensively, but he's okay hitting.
Yeah, and then Hayward, pretty much the same thing. Rotation.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of questions there. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great and stuff because we have all these players. Like, yeah, but all of them are old.
Yeah.
I mean, Lester is going to be 35 next year. Hamels is going to be 35 next year. Quintana's going to be 30 next year. Darvish is going to be 32 next year. The only one in that rotation who's going to be under 30 is Kyle Hendricks at 29. So,
yeah, I mean,
age is going to be a really big problem.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they just got a lot of experience, but I mean, as players start to age, they start to sort of lose once they once had.
We already kind of saw, like, even Lester, he started to break.
Yeah.
He started to break down the last few years. Last year, he had. In 2017, he had a 4.33 OPS or 4.33 ERA, and this year he did lower it. He did lower back down below 4 to 3.32, but his FIP was 4.39, which was raised from last year. So
yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with Darvish? Really, it's been a while, so who knows? And then bullpen. I don't like this bullpen that much.
It's an okay bullpen. It's nothing great. There's nothing like they don't have that shutdown pitcher in the bullpen.
Yeah, they're gonna need to make a move at the deadline. I think
Morrow. I mean, he's really good when he's healthy. He's just not healthy too often.
Yeah.
Cishek. I mean, he was good He was good for like a good amount of last year, and then he like started to fall off on the end. But overall, he's still good. Strope, he's still pretty decent. But I mean, 3.43 ERA to a 2.26 or 3.43 FIP to a 2.26 ERA is kind of questionable. But
yeah.
Carl Edwards Jr. I mean, he strikes out a lot of guys, but he has a 1.308 WHIP and walked 32 batters in 52 innings last year for a 5.5 walks per 9 rate. So
yeah, this team has a lot of questions, like more than most should have, like a lot more than most should have.
Yeah.
Do I think they're gonna finish last in the division? No.
I don't
I
think
see.
so.
I
either,
see
but-
them finishing top 3 for sure. Can they beat the Brewers?
I don't know. I mean, that bullpen the Brewers have is probably the best in
it's
baseball right now.
It's masterful.
I mean, they don't need to have all aces. They could have like just number 3 starters to fill that rotation because they only need like 4 or 5 solid innings out of them just so they can pass on to Josh Hader to pitch 2 more innings.
Yeah, Cardinals are looking pretty solid, especially with the addition of Goldschmidt and Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller hasn't been talked about a lot, but
Yeah, and they have a pretty good
move.
rotation too. They have some young guys.
Yeah, they have Martinez. There's a lot.
Flaherty.
Yeah,
and so they have a pretty good rotation. I mean, pitching wise, even for the Pirates, pitching wise is like pretty good. I mean,
I'd take the Pirates staff over the Cubs any day.
I mean, Tyone. Right now, this is what the Pirates opening day. The first game of the year, it's gonna be Tyone, Williams, Joe Musgrove, Chris Archer, which is, if you ask me, a pretty good 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bullpen, Felipe Vasquez, Keona Kela, Kyle Crick, Richard Rodriguez. That's a pretty good lineup to get to the closer. So
yeah,
and that's not even taking into account other guys who could break out this year with like Brault.
Yeah,
so,
and the Reds, I mean, they're okay.
The Reds got better, but
nah.
They got better, but it's not like they added like that star piece. Like Matt Kemp is okay, but he's getting older and did horrible in the second half last year. Puig struggles against
lefties,
left-handed pitchers. I mean, really the only improvement they made to that rotation was Alex Wood, because a lot of people are just saying that Sonny Gray's going to be great next year. It's like, Sonny Gray's going to one of the most hitter-friendly parks in the MLB.
Yeah.
So we got to take that into account, and especially in this division where it's extremely competitive, I don't know how he's going to do. I'm saying that he's going to have like an ERA around like 4 to 4.3, so...
Yeah, well, we'll see. But thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 7. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to give us a follow. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a rating if you enjoyed. Let us know what you think. If you're listening on YouTube and you're new, subscribe to the channel and like the video. And yeah, we will see all of you in episode 8.